Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Showtime Goones with your co-host Fernie, that's me, and the other guy, it's Berto.
Hey guys,
And today we are going to be interviewing
our good buddy Rick. We've had the pleasure of knowing Rick for about 15 years now. We graduated a little over 10 years ago now from Cal Poly Pomona with a degree in aerospace. We all graduated together. Today we were lucky enough to have him come in and talk with us about his time at SpaceX. So without much further ado, here we bring Rick.
What's up, guys?
What's up, hey guys, how's it going?
Fellas.
Better than ever.
Rick, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So let's get started. Rick, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where'd you go to school? What kind of degree do you have? Maybe some of your hobbies. What is a day in the life of Rick?
I'm 34 years old. Went to Cal Poly Pomona, studied Aerospace Engineering with you guys.
Go Broncos.
Graduated 2009, and started my career at Edison. Ended up at SpaceX, and now I'm at a company called Wavestream, building solid state amplifiers for satellites.
Very cool.
Very nice.
Yeah. So I guess one thing that we wanted to touch upon was your experience at SpaceX. So could you tell us a little bit about, when did you start working at SpaceX? We'll start with that.
I started November 5th, 2013. I always remember it because it's remember the 5th of November from V for Vendetta. I was actually supposed to start on a Monday, but when I showed up, they didn't have any of my paperwork ready, so I just got a quick little tour, and I turned around and came all the way home.
And so
yeah, it was kind of nerve-wracking.
So you started on November 5th. Easy to remember now that you gave us a little riddle. So tell us about the interview process. How that went, and the good and the bad.
You know what? It wasn't. When I started at SpaceX, it wasn't. I started off as a contractor. A couple of guys that they had hired before me, I guess, were what they call the old school aerospace, and it just didn't work out after, I want to say, like 3 or 4 months. So they were cautious about bringing a couple new guys in. So they brought in us as contractors with another company, and we worked for, I want to say, like 4 or 5 months before they made us offers. We showed them what we could do, and they made us offers very quickly. But yeah, it was the interview process. It wasn't like what you normally go through at SpaceX. I didn't have to do any kind of interview with Elon. That was one of the things. But I did have to write a letter. I didn't have to give a presentation, but they brought in a couple of guys who I would work with, and asking me basic questions. Can you read a drawing? Can you, what would you do in situational, kind of things, basic interview stuff. And
so you were mentioning, so the standard is to give a presentation. So like, is this presentation on subject matter or?
It doesn't matter. I from what I heard, it doesn't matter what kind of interview or what kind of presentation you give. Sometimes they'll give you a topic, but most of the time it's give us a presentation of something you're passionate about, and all the ins and outs of what it is you're presenting.
Do you happen to know what the current what they currently do at SpaceX for interviews? Do they still go after these third-party vendors, or through these third-party vendors, or do they hire directly?
Not long after I was hired, they got rid of the the agency that hired me, and they don't use any kind of contractors. It's just you direct. It's everything's SpaceX now.
Okay.
I mean, I would foresee that it's not hard for them to find people. Who doesn't want to work at SpaceX, right?
No,
Yeah,
true.
I mean everything. Yeah, it's just so impacted. There's so many. It's so competitive that people want to work for SpaceX, and there are people who you really want to get in and find out it's not really for them, and they leave even after a few weeks. I had an experience with a guy who came in, and it wasn't anything like he had expected. So they moved into another team after about a month, and he just sat there at his computer, and we had a heart to heart, and he said, "You know what? This is not for me." And I said, "That's okay. That's okay." And he felt like he was trapped there because he had moved from the East Coast out to California, and he felt kind of stuck.
Yeah.
After taking the job with SpaceX, something that he thought he really wanted, but it just wasn't a fit. And it's not for everybody.
And does SpaceX have like internships, or are they big on fostering I guess?
Absolutely. They have internships year round, depending on whether or not the department that they're in has the budget for them to keep them on, even part-time during the school year.
Oh, that's
like a co-op or something.
Like a co-op, yeah. But they still, find ways around it especially if they really like you. And even if you leave as an intern, it's very possible for those interns, if they have good standing with their managers, to come back and work full time in either that same department where they had that experience, or another department where they felt they wanted to get more experience in structures versus propulsion, that kind of thing.
So it sounds like they have all these programs where if you're a recent grad, you can go from the structures team for a few months, or potentially maybe up to a year, and then go over to the propulsion team, and then so forth and so forth.
Yeah, generally the internships are 4 months, and that's it. But like I said, a lot of times the work is so crazy that they'll try to keep the interns on for as long as they can. Especially if that intern's doing good work.
Oh, definitely. And so in your time there, what was the diversity like, and the average age for the people that worked around you?
Very young, mid-20s, early 30s.
I mean,
that
that's
includes
great.
management and directors, or
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely. Awesome. You have some managers, even directors, who are in their early 30s.
Okay, very good.
Just because nice. everybody's just go-getters there, and it's really hard to. I mean, it's hard to move up because everybody wants a piece,
Yeah.
Everybody wants a piece, and it's very competitive, even hiring internally for those kinds of positions, those management and director positions.
Oh, wow.
And I imagine that's something SpaceX does, is they'll look within first before they put a rec out for the public, or to the public.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because the time it would take to train somebody up, especially somebody who's unfamiliar with the workings of how things get done at SpaceX.
Yeah, it's almost like they probably would look within first, and unless there's some peculiar subject matter that they're looking for, then they'll probably look outside for thereafter, right?
Yeah, and most of the time when they're trying to find people for upper management positions, directors, supervisors and above, they'll also put the rec out for the public, and we'll find guys from GE, or they would bring in guys from GE, guys that worked in the automotive manufacturing industry, those kinds of things, and see how they do.
Oh, that's great.
Was there ever anybody that came in from the Boeings or the Northrops that maybe they came in thinking that they were pretty hot stuff at their former employer, but they just couldn't cut it with on the SpaceX team.
In my experience, I didn't have anybody from. Well, we had people from Boeing and Northrop, sure, but I don't think they weren't a good fit. They kind of already knew what they were getting themselves into, and working in a place like SpaceX humbles you pretty quickly. And tearing down everything that you think you know about the aerospace industry, and how they work differently and why they're so successful is that model.
And
like I said, it's not for everybody, but if it's easy to understand where they're coming from and adapt.
Yeah, and to our listeners, the aerospace industry has this stigma that, and I think it's true in some sense, that it moves in a dinosaur pace. Everything's very slow. Takes a long time to develop things and whatnot. But that's definitely not the case at SpaceX. They're more like a tech company. At least that's what I see it as.
But even, they're moving. They're becoming less of a tech company and more of a it's a manufacturing company is essentially what it is, but they carry with them that stigma of a tech company because they're able to because it's a private company and you don't have to worry about unions, you don't have to worry about those kinds of things slowing you down, where it's just everybody has the same goal, everybody has the same sort of passion. There's a lot of politics, like any office or like any company has politics, but in the end everybody has the same mindset, and the goal, the end game is getting people to Mars. And they see these small, even though they're historical and monumental steps, the end goal is always the same, is getting people to Mars. And slowly but surely they're building on the technology and they're building on the science that they've developed in rapid prototyping and 3D printing to speed up these schedules and get more data from what they're working with, and testing more science to push them over that edge and get them where they need to be.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I guess moving on to a little bit of the work that you did. So what was it like building rockets?
Amazing.
Pretty fulfilling, I imagine.
Absolutely, it's fulfilling. It's super fulfilling. I can't explain it any other way. Maybe it's different for me, because of somebody like me who has a passion for aerospace and rockets and planes and jets and fuck yeah, rockets and
being in the manufacturing floor.
Yeah,
being in the manufacturing floor and seeing this, assembled, partly assembled rockets. Did it ever get to a point where you just like, it was second nature to you? Like, the first few days you see them, you're like, holy smokes, this is crazy. Where it was just like, oh, it's just a rocket, or was it every single time you saw one, like almost fully assembled, it was like a masterpiece,
On day, I want to say it was day 1 or day 2, I had, obviously you're doing all this training and stuff, but for lunch, I had one of the other guys on my team take me out to the floor and basically show me everything. Going to you can take a tour of SpaceX, but you can only go so far. You can only see so much. But going in and seeing how these rockets are put together and how massive these things are, it's really a sight to see. And it's not just the rockets, but you have this huge clean room where they're putting together 3 or 4 spacecraft in one room, and they're all in different stages of of their build, some more complete than others is just a shell, but still you see a collection of parts just coming together and building this incredible vehicle. It's one of the things I'll never forget, and for me, at least for me, because of like I said, my passion earlier, if it ever came down to this job is too tough, or the hours are too long, or getting frustrated and not being able to get something done, or roadblocks in your way, it was nice to just take a break, walk the floor, not really talking to anybody, but just walking through and just seeing what you're a part of. It might seem like you're just this minuscule part of the company or the process, but you see it come together, and you see it's not just you, it's a collection of everybody else putting in their time and effort and putting this structure together. Like I said, it's incredible to see it come together, and it just remotivates you to want to go back to your job and say, we're going to do this.
Yeah,
and
sometimes
like
you get
bigger pictures there.
You get so busy, and it's nice to take a step back and just take everything in for what it really is,
And that's one of the things that I liked about being so close to the manufacturing floor, is that you're able to stop what you're doing, go out to the floor, and if you needed to talk to somebody on the floor to, get something done, it was easy for you to do. It's not like you're shooting emails back and forth, just for a guy that you're not really going to see, but actually directing them, saying this is priority. This is what we need to do, and even motivate them to get the work done faster, or spending more time on it. Like I said, those kinds of interactions, you just can't compare to, I don't think, anywhere else.
Yeah. So a little bit ago, you mentioned your passion for aerospace. Tell us a little bit about where that passion came from.
Top Gun.
Very nice.
I think for most guys are at least my age, Top Gun was a motivating factor in seeing Tom Cruise and the F-14s and flying all over it. It was so motivating for me going to air shows and hearing the roar of the engines, and seeing how fast those machines fly, and wanting to be a part of something like that. That's awesome.
And
awesome. And there's so much more out there that we know.
When you're a kid, and you're playing with your friends, you always have your least popular friend be Goose, right?
So is that something you wanted to do? Did you ever actually want to be a pilot?
I wanted to be a pilot, of course. Wanted to be a pilot, of course. A fire pilot, yeah. But I went. In high school, I applied for the ASVAB test. It's that military aptitude test, and I scored pretty high, and I had all the recruiters calling me. But the moment I mentioned, any health conditions, I had asthma, and they said, no, you can't join. Let alone be a fighter pilot, flying those cool looking planes.
So you went for the next best thing.
Bummer.
Huh?
Bummer.
So you realize
So I figured, if I can't fly the planes, if I can't fly the planes, might as well help build them and at least push the boundaries of what the next generation aircraft or rocket would be. So
awesome. Yeah. And the rest is history.
I know. So tell us a little bit about the programs or projects that you worked on while at SpaceX.
While I was there, I worked on a project. I started off with Dragon Cargo. Dragon Cargo had already been in the works, and they needed help, ramping up that program. And I started off on Dragon 5. And then, of course, Dragon Cargo went all the way to Dragon 20 before they started crew.
Wow. So from 5 through 20?
5 through 20, and then Demo Mission 1 Demo Mission 2, which carried the astronauts, the two astronauts, Bob and Doug, to the International Space Station on that demo mission, testing out all the equipment and the vehicle, just checking it out. And then and my last project that I worked on was the Crew capsule, Crew 1 capsule, which is going up on Saturday. And it was in the earliest stages of its build when I was still there, but that was the last capsule that I worked on.
And so you mentioned the Crew capsule, right? So when you guys started working on this, did you guys think like, we're putting people into this little capsule that's going to go on top of a missile that's going to take them up to space? Like, how was the sentiment for all of you, knowing that there's people's life at stake?
Yeah, there's zero room for error when it comes to having astronauts on board. It's something that I personally took very seriously. Even after meeting these guys, they go up to you and they say, "Hi, my name is Doug. Hi, my name is Bob, and I have a wife and a kid. I have wife and kids." And it's like, holy crap! Like that's for real. It's like I'm a parent. I'm a dad. So I want to make sure that they come home and to their kids and their family. So I took great pride in making sure that everything was,
top notch.
Yeah, of course. You can't ignore any issue ticket that comes up. You can't dismiss it as another, manufacturing defect. Yeah. You have to take time to really scrutinize every little detail of, even a slight scratch where it's a simple repair of a rebuff and an Aladyne. Those things matter.
And I think the difference between working in the industry that you worked on and people working in commercial aviation or automotive is you actually have to look at them in the eye and tell them, hey, yeah, we're working on your capsule and yeah, it's gonna have zero errors, zero defects, right? It's a little different when you have to look at people right in the eye.
It's aerospace, right? You can't dismiss those kinds of any kind of defect when you have people aboard, and it's not. And I don't want to say it's unlike commercial aviation because they're mass producing these things, those planes, but the science is there for those kinds of planes that they know, kind of what they're getting into. For rockets, it's different because they're in a vacuum. You're moving so fast. You're strapping, a couple of guys up to the top of a huge bomb. A rocket is a controlled bomb. You're controlling the explosion that's coming out of the back, and you're sending these guys thousands of miles an hour, into miles high, 100 miles high, and you're like, these guys are in a vacuum. You need to make sure that everything is perfect, and the standard will be even higher when we're sending people to another planet, let alone even just sending them to space. Imagine sending these guys just to the moon.
Well, and then on top of that, Elon took on the challenge of reusing these rockets. So now we need to make sure that they last the first time, second time, the 100th time or however.
That was a hurdle for getting to Mars. I think Elon looked at that and said, the cost of just getting to space is cost prohibitive, that it's too expensive for people to just get to space. So he wanted to find a way to get people to space as cheap, and not just people but cargo to space, and using that as a jump point to the next destination, whether it be the moon or Mars or what have you. But in any case, that initial hurdle is what he wanted to overcome in pushing the technology to reuse these rockets. And now they're talking about using these rockets, these reusable rockets, to send cargo to another place on the planet within hours. Within hours.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Within an hour. I mean, imagine if you're. I can't even think of the scenario, but I mean, you have a rapid response to any kind of conflict or any kind of resupply anywhere in the world, and you have that capability now with these reusable rockets.
But the key with the reusable rockets, I think it's more of, we don't just want to go to space or to Mars and say, hey, we were there, like we did with the moon, right? We want to go colonize. We want to take exploration to the next level, and I think that's what Elon wants to do, right? And this is one of the ways to do it.
Right, Elon's pushing the future in being able to have the human race be multiplanetary and pushing that future on humanity. I think it's really important that we have what he considers a backup plan in being able to
ensure our survival.
Ensure the human race's survival. Which, I mean, most people think that, you know, we're on this tiny little dot in the middle of the universe, that, you know, we're safe from most things, but in reality we're not. And, you know, he looks at these life events like the end of the dinosaurs, a meteor coming in and, you know, blowing up the earth and killing all the dinosaurs that gave rise to humans, that another extinction event like that could happen to us as humans, that we need to be prepared for it in some way or shape or form to be able to be intelligent enough to get to another planet millions of miles away.
So you're obviously very passionate about your work there, or in the way you did. But how rewarding was it? I know that you're able to see the launches right there from Mission Control. I imagine that must have been probably the funnest thing.
The most fulfilling launches were the Dragon launches, because it encompassed everybody. For somebody like me, you know, working on the Dragon capsule, not launching as often as the Falcon rockets were sending up satellites, different kinds of communication satellites, military satellites, and the like, that the Dragon launches were the most fun because it brought everybody together. It brought the Falcon teams together, the propulsion teams together, the Dragon teams together, everybody together as a company. That those kinds of launches were celebrated company-wide. It wasn't just you guys celebrate your successes and we're just kind of here, just, hey, good job. But it was a collective effort, and those were the most fun times.
So after a successful launch, did you guys have any sort of celebration, any sort of parties, you know, considering that the average age is younger, you know, at SpaceX?
Yeah, my first Dragon
you work
launch.
hard, play hard.
Work hard, play harder. Work hard, party harder. The first Dragon launch while I was there, I only got the tail end of it. You know, putting that capsule up. But after that, you know, I want to say it was like a 3 p.m. launch, and everybody just shut down their computers and said, peace out, we're going to the bar. You know, there's a little bar next door, but everybody went down into like downtown El Segundo and just showed up, started ordering appetizers, ordering drinks, ordering shots, and just collecting a tab until one of the VPs showed up and just gave the card and said, we're covering this for everybody.
Fantastic.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I like the culture.
Yeah. People are just like, hey, I'll take that, and be like, yeah, walking around with bottles walking around the bottles of bars.
So very much like a movie, you know, when you watch a movie and they're at a bar celebrating and having a good time.
I think, I mean, you see those kinds of movies and the celebration and the jubilation, and people are hugging, and people are excited, and those kinds of things did happen for a lot of the launches that I was there with, because again, you work so hard, you stay up so late, you know all the issues, at least the main issues for me that plagued me. I'm sitting there at mission control as they're counting down and thinking to myself, did I do everything I could have done to make sure that this went up successfully? And then you see it go up, it clears the tower, it puts the capsule into space, you see it jettison, the solar rays applied, and you think, oh, I can breathe.
Yeah.
But the mission at that point's not over. The mission is just getting started. There's a bunch of things that can still happen, but in any case, people are still excited because that's the hardest. That's people think is the hardest part, is just getting something that big, that fast, and that high. Mm-hmm. It's very dangerous.
Do all those issue tickets ever just come racing through your mind as Falcon 9 is clearing the tower as it's going through its launch? I know that you have your MRB process. These issue tickets get dispositioned as a rework, as a use as is, or as a repair. But in my mind, they'd still be there lingering during launch day. Is that ever the case?
At least for me, yes. Only because my issue tickets were specific to Dragon only. The parts that I worked on, obviously, are all on the Dragon capsules. So, it wasn't over for me. I think for me, the one thing, the first thing that would always pop up into my mind after launch was the docking system. The docking system was, to me, the most important thing, because without that, the astronauts couldn't transfer the cargo. And just making sure all of those issue tickets were taken care of and closed.
Rumor has it that SpaceX throws some pretty sweet Christmas parties. What can you tell us about that?
Those Christmas parties were epic.
Yeah.
Epic. Some of the most epic parties I've ever been to, and it's, God, how can I put this into words?
What can you disclose here?
I mean, I have pictures. I have pictures of the events. As a matter of fact, I have pictures of most of the things that we did. But just going there, I mean, he had a carnival. He had a ball pit. One of the very first party that I went to. Remember, I got hired on in November. December was the first party, and I wasn't even allowed to go because I was a contractor. I wasn't even an employee at the time. That somebody had brought me as their plus one, and the party was just epic. You could jump. So it was in one of the newer buildings that they had just acquired, and they set it up with a huge dance floor, a beer garden, with these huge barrels and people dressed in lederhosen serving you beer. They had a huge ball pit pool. They had a game room, like a casino, where you could they would give you a set of chips, and you could bet these chips and then exchange those chips for like raffle tickets, and the raffle tickets would be the more raffle tickets you got, the better your chance was to win some of these prizes. But they had this thing where you could jump from the second story into one of those huge airbags for like the stuntmen use, right? And we had just gotten up, and we were talking and getting up, and the girl just before us was getting cold feet. So just before she jumped, she realized she didn't want to do it anymore, held on to the rail that was right next to her, swung around. The guy had to pry her fingers to just let her go and let her get fall into the airbag. that afterwards they were just like, all right, no more, we're done. At that point, it was
a liability.
It was huge liability.
Yeah.
But and of course, they're serving. It's an open bar. And they tell you, they tell you before the party, don't get too drunk because
don't drink and jump.
Don't drink and drive. Do all that things. But this girl just completely ruined it because after that, they're like, no more. These people are drunk. They don't know what they're doing. And we're just like, no, that was the one thing we wanted to do. We couldn't do it.
That's great.
I imagine that was the last time they had that airbag.
Yeah. But after that, the parties just got more crazy. They had a carnival on the outside of that the next year. They had. They had a slide where you could like slide from the second story down into the parking lot.
I imagine Elon's the type of guy that wants to like outdo himself, even when it comes to these Christmas parties every year. So.
Okay.
Easily.
Oh yeah, he's like, oh, you think you're better than me, Elon from last year? I'll show you.
F you.
Like I said, they had a whole bar decked out in ice, like an ice bar. Mm-hmm. They had. You know what? Hang on one second. I'll be right back. I have a map of the Christmas party. Oh, that was like I think the most epic. I'll get that.
All right.
I'll be right back. Hold on one second.
All right.
So here's what I got. This was the SpaceX celebration map, if you will. They had a garden of sweets. I remember they had a donut wall. They had a white bar.
Oh, wait, a what?
Whoa.
a white bar that was just everything was just decked out in white.
Okay. All right.
A Ferris wheel. They had bumper cars. They had a zip line. They had one of those Velcro walls. Like it's all here. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, very nice. Yeah. And this is at the headquarters in Hawthorne.
This is only the first floor.
Oh.
Floor. They had.
I like how
the opposite side is the second floor.
There's a silhouette of a bottle.
Stuff.
I like how there's a silhouette of a bottle.
Well, there's the barrel.
Yeah,
there's the DJ. There's the lock bar. The casino, right? The casino. They have a picnic table right here that shows where you could go get some grub. And then remember I told you they had a slide. This was the slide out to the first floor.
Okay, all right.
Oh, that's great.
I think this settles it, Fernie. We need to go get jobs at SpaceX.
Yeah.
You know
just
what?
for the Christmas parties.
Just for the Christmas parties.
Yeah, and like I said, these kinds of parties. This was, I think, the most epic one, because after that they kind of dwindled down. And they started having the parties by department. So if you were in planning, engineering, production, those kinds of things. But yeah, they would actually have these parties over the course of 2 days, so the entire company could go. So yeah, it was incredible, man. Like I loved them.
I wonder what the parties were like at the Texas side and then over at the Cape. Or I wonder if those guys are like flown in.
No. They were nothing like the ones in Hawthorne. Nothing like the ones in Hawthorne. They would just like rent out a bar.
Oh yeah.
From what I heard, they would rent out a bar in Florida, and like all the people out there, all the operations guys would go. But if those guys were lucky enough to be able to come to the party in Hawthorne, especially as somebody's plus one, they buy a ticket and come over.
Yeah.
I'm not, and you know what? I'm not even sure what they were doing in Texas. McGregor's just
eating steak and riding horses. Maybe
when I got some barbecue or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what they did in Texas. I have no idea what they did in Texas. But yeah, the Hawthorne parties were always epic, and everybody looked forward to them every year.
So where do you see yourself here in a few years? Would you go back to SpaceX if you had the opportunity?
In a heartbeat.
Okay.
I mean, the one thing that people just don't quite understand is the relationships that you forge there, being in the thick of something like that, is something that I'll never forget. And a lot of those people that I worked with are still my friends, people I still call my family, because you've gone through those kinds of issues with them. You get there early in the morning, try to beat the rush of everybody else coming in and all the flood of emails, and you stay late just pushing things, just trying to get things done, solving problems, just doing whatever you can to fulfill the mission.
Yeah, definitely. And so for any high schooler out there that wants to follow through with a potential future career at SpaceX, do you have any recommendations, any tips?
Just be passionate about what you do. It really does make a difference. When you have a bunch of people who are passionate about getting something done and achieving a goal, it's unlike anything I've ever experienced before. I thought I would never meet somebody or anybody that shared the same kind of passions that I do. And everybody's different, but career-wise, I think everybody has it there. I want to say everybody, most people have it there. And when you're working in a company like that, you're working with people like that, it's so rewarding to be able to get things done and push yourselves to the next level. Yeah. I like I said, I can't explain it. Just all I can say to them is just be passionate about what you do.
And what type of educational degree should they get to have the highest probability of getting a job at SpaceX? Any
kind of science degree, and they have a top team of IT guys, HR, hell, even all the way down to the baristas. The rumor has it that at SpaceX they brew their own coffee there, and the rumor has it that Elon went to the nearest Starbucks and asked the manager of that Starbucks who his best employee was, and the manager pointed out, it's that guy. Elon turned to him and said, "I'll double your pay if you come work for me." And it just like that, he wants the best, including the baristas, including the chefs. So, I mean, as long as you're passionate about what you do, your passion puts perfection in the work. Everybody there are perfectionists. Everybody there are go-getters. Everybody there is very passionate about what they want and what they want to do in their career and what they want to do with their life. So, like I said, it doesn't matter what you do. There's mostly a place. There's a place for a lot of people there at SpaceX, even people that didn't have backgrounds in engineering or science. Like I said, it's just a collection of just really cool, passionate people who are passionate about, just even if they're just passionate about space or even IT or chemistry. Like I said, there's a place for you there.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that someone out there listening to this gets super excited about this conversation we had, and they get a hold of us a couple years down the line, and they're like, "Yeah, I work at SpaceX."
I saw this podcast with these three goobers on there.
Yeah, I mean, those things make a difference. Those are what they consider, or at least what I would consider, is intangibles. You could have the resume, you could have all the schooling, but if you're not passionate about what you do, you're not gonna fit there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that ends the portion of where we discuss your time at SpaceX. So that'll take us to the next excitement segment, the puns segment.
Puns, yeah.
You guys know I don't know puns. I'm a dad, but I don't even. I mean, some of my I gotta brush up on some of my dad jokes.
Oh, don't worry. We're not.
Dude.
Trust us, we're not good.
Yeah, we're maybe on par, but so,
I mean,
Ricky,
this segment may not make it past a couple of episodes from now.
Well, Ricky, let's just say you're a blast.
There we go. Or we could just say, did you ever go up to a coworker and just say, Jupiter recognize?
You better recognize.
Jupiter recognize.
Oh, that's terrible. Come on, guys.
Oh, that one was mine, man. You just kind of hurt my feelings over here.
Oh, sorry, man.
I'm about to say, come at me, bro.
Yeah, I went to the library the other day and I checked out a book on anti-gravity and I just can't put it down, And if that wasn't enough, wasn't enough torture for you, we have some pickup lines for you too. So next time,
all right, let me hear them.
These are for all the young engineers out there, when they go out to the club.
Or if they go to a SpaceX Christmas party, you could always use this line. You could always say, you could always go up to a girl and say, "Hey, are you from Mars? Because I want to explore you."
That's terrible. This is absolutely terrible.
Or hey, how'd you like to recreate the Big Bang?
And last but not least, hey, beautiful, your face is like the moon. It's always glowing.
That one's good.
That one's good. Yeah.
All right, we apologize for those two segments.
Yeah. That's. And so that brings our interview with you, Ricky, to an end. And we want to thank you for being a great guest and enlightening us with everything we had to ever know about SpaceX and more.
I think
we've only scratched the surface, man. We've only scratched the surface. If you guys ever want to talk, more about my time there, some of the things that I worked on, I'd be more than happy to. Like I got all these patches. Got a boatload of patches here. It's like 40 something patches, but these are all.
And how do you get those? What do you need to do to get those patches?
Just be part of the team. Just being a part of the team. Yeah. Like I said, I have all these, all these patches that I'm gonna frame, but of course some of the other ones that I'm going to keep separate are the dragon patches, because those are the ones that I worked on.
Oh, sweet.
And those ones are a lot more special to me than the others.
Okay, Rick. Yeah. Thank you, man. We appreciate your time.
Yeah. And for all of our listeners and everyone watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, hit the like. We read all of our comments, so be nice. And Berto, where can they follow us on social media?
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Showtime Goones.
Thanks again, Rick. And
no problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
As we always say at the end of every episode, if you're not with us, you're against us, and that's perfectly okay with us. Till next time.
Bye, guys.